Nicolas Faure was born in 1949. Originally from Neuchâtel, he settled in Meyrin near Geneva. Since 1991, he lives from his art, photography. He proposes projects of a very unusual nature to various museums and institutions. For a long time interested in people, today he prefers to concentrate on the Swiss countryside and its characteristics.
La photographie, pour moi, c'est...
For me, photography is a way to express an attitude which I've had since I was small. That's to say that I have always looked at, observed the world, and questioned the world. What is it that I do today when I'm taking photographs? I look and I question the world. Actually, I came to photography by accident. I didn't want to become a photographer. It's really by chance. I wanted to travel around the world. At 20, I set off to see the world, to question it, experience this world, and learn to live with it. And a friend gave me a camera because I was not interested in photography, and all of a sudden, I finally understood that there was potential here, a very interesting idea. Very quickly in my life, I understood that photography corresponded to something very strong in me and which would awaken in me a questioning and a motivation to which I was particularly receptive. That of looking, of wandering, and traveling. Everything that I liked, and that I obviously still like. In my last project, I decided I didn't want people, because in fact I am only interested in the exterior. And for me to concentrate, to give it intensity, I didn't want to be distracted by a person moving around in the country. Switzerland is like a huge estate, a huge garden, a huge studio for me. First of all, it's true, I was born in Switzerland. I mean to say I have links. I have many emotions regarding this country because I grew up here. Many questions. And one day I heard it said that a curious person is happy to live all his life in his garden or his room. And I think it's true. Switzerland is much too big for me. First, I began by working and taking pictures of the modern countryside around a theme which was the motorway. And this was a pretext to look at Switzerland along a line of concrete, and to find there these two ideas which I am always looking for, to understand identity and modernity, and obviously to develop around that a personal language, an aesthetic. For 3 years, I photographed modern Switzerland seen from the motorway, and I came to the conclusion that there was a theme within a theme, which was regional planning, a countrifying of the motorway which interested me. Like the bushes, the greenery, the structures and shapes created by the motorway and around the motorway.
Son esthétique,
Its aesthetic and the underlying ideas were actually a pretext for crossing Switzerland another time to see the countryside again in a different way.
The
gardens of the motorway, you think you see them every day. I think it's really in the subconscious. When you drive on the motorway, there is a sort of monotony which takes over, and the countryside unfolds before our eyes. You see the landscape, but you don't look at it. My task is to look at things, define them, think about them, and to give them expression. And then what fascinates me is that everyone uses the motorway, or at least a great number of us use the motorway, and some of us take in subconsciously this landscape unfolding in front of our eyes. And certainly very few of us think what this landscape is for. It's fantastic for me. I am not blinded, if you like, by the pictorial side of things. Actually, I would love the pictures to be deeper than that. That's to say, they also pose questions on another level, apart from the aesthetic point of view. It's not just a pretty or beautiful experience, it's also the why and the how. And through photography, obviously you have a special chance to revisit, to see things again in a new light. You fix them, they're frozen, but you have time to think about them. This is my problem. How am I going to describe this space? I perceive that if I take 3 steps forward, I don't see things in the same way at all. The pylons of the bridge become very, very important, and I am almost in the picture. If I move back a little, it reduces the height of the roadway, and the foreground becomes much more important. The yellow of the grass is much more important. In this picture, which is both simple and complex, there is another challenge for me. There are papers on the ground. A paper has blown from the motorway and is in the frame. Do I accept this coincidence or do I control it? I decide no. The idea is not mine, so I clear it away. I think that this camera is a particularly precise tool. It's because it allows me to keep the right perspectives, the straight lines which give everything a certain stringence. That's why I work with this camera. It gives me 9 by 12 negatives and allows me to make excellent quality enlargements.
I don't use numerical techniques because digital images are not good. I stick to the negatives. I am still with the traditional method for quality reasons. I put all my effort and concentration into still being able to use the traditional method of printing. It still works, but when the numerical has more advantage, more beauty, more flexibility, I'll use it. It's not there yet. And when I have done all the retouching, these little marks, all the smudges, the photo will appear clear, in focus, perfect. This is what I look for. I always try to keep a certain control over my work until the end. Actually, it is maybe here that I dig too deeply. I tend to do too much, that's for sure. It's just how I am, how I try to do things.
C'est comme ça que j'essaye de faire les choses. J'ai toujours utilisé la couleur.
I have always used color because I see, I feel all my emotion, and my thoughts are expressed by color. Personally, if I could only use black and white, I wouldn't be able to do photography. Up to now, I have described things in a lot of light. I have always insisted that the things are lit. I would say that I have done maybe 3 backlights in my life, an aspect of the world that I don't see, the world of shadow. I have never looked at that side. It fascinates me to go and see how I would react and what I might be able to do. And I am really fascinated by certain other values, like romanticism. Why? Because it is an experience I would like to have. A sort of revenge of sentiment over reason. I have been too rational and too calculating. I would like to loosen up a little, to wallow in my feelings.
Intéressante. Et dans ma vie, très vite, j'ai donc...
Very quickly in my...
La photographie, pour moi, c'est...
For me, photography is a way to express an attitude which I've had since I was small. That's to say that I have always looked at, observed the world, and questioned the world. What is it that I do today when I'm taking photographs? I look and I question the world. Actually, I came to photography by accident.
Since 1991, he lives from his art, photography. He proposes projects of a very unusual nature to various museums and institutions. For a long time interested in people, today he prefers to concentrate on the Swiss countryside and its characteristics. Nicolas Faure was born in 1949. Originally from Neuchâtel, he settled in Meyrin, near Geneva.
I didn't want to become a photographer. It's really by chance. I wanted to travel around the world. At 20, I set off to see the world, to question it, experience this world, and learn to live with it. And a friend gave me a camera because I was not interested in photography, and all of a sudden, I finally understood that there was potential here, a very interesting idea.